This looks like a beautiful cottage garden, full of flowers, color, and that dreamy wild look. But what most people don't realize is that this same garden can turn into a weed infestation nightmare, fast. In just a few weeks, weeds can choke your flowers, steal nutrients, and completely ruin the look you worked so hard to create. If you love cottage gardens but hate endless weeding, you need to hear this before it's too late. Cottage gardens are meant to look effortless, natural, and romantic. But here's the truth. Without the right strategy, they're one of the easiest garden styles to lose control of. Weeds love open soil, self-seeding plants, and that loose, wild layout. And that's exactly what most cottage gardens have. Today, I'm going to explain why cottage gardens attract weeds, the common mistakes that turn them into chaos, and most importantly, how you can keep your garden beautiful without spending all your time pulling weeds. If you want simple, practical gardening advice that actually works, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Here, we focus on growing beautiful gardens the smart way: less work, less stress, and better results. Cottage gardens are loved for their relaxed, natural appearance. They're full of mixed flowers, overlapping plants, and a slightly wild look that feels charming and welcoming. But that same beauty is also what makes cottage gardens especially vulnerable to weeds. Unlike formal gardens with clearly defined rows and spacing, cottage gardens often leave small gaps of exposed soil. Even tiny open spaces are enough for weed seeds to settle in. Weed seeds are naturally present in soil, carried by wind, birds, and even on our shoes. When they find light, moisture, and open ground, they grow quickly. Another reason weeds thrive in cottage gardens is the use of self-seeding plants. Flowers like poppies, foxgloves, and cosmos are popular because they reseed themselves each year. While this can be helpful, it also makes it harder to tell which seedlings are intentional and which are weeds. When everything looks similar in the early stages, weeds often get ignored until they're well established. Cottage gardens also tend to be watered frequently to support lush growth. Regular watering creates ideal conditions for weeds, especially fast-growing ones that compete aggressively for nutrients and space. Over time, weeds begin to crowd out slower-growing flowers, weakening them and changing the balance of the garden. None of this means cottage gardens are a bad idea. It simply means they need a thoughtful approach. Understanding why weeds appear is the first step towards managing them effectively without removing the natural charm that makes cottage gardens so appealing. One of the most common mistakes in cottage gardening is leaving bare soil exposed for long periods. After planting or seasonal cleanup, many gardeners wait weeks before filling gaps or adding mulch. During that time, weeds take advantage of the empty space and begin growing unnoticed. Another frequent issue is letting all seedlings grow unchecked. While it's exciting to see new growth appear, not every seedling belongs there. When gardeners avoid thinning or identifying plants early, weeds gain a strong foothold. Once established, they're much harder to remove without disturbing nearby flowers. Garden edges are another overlooked problem area. Without clear borders, weeds easily spread from lawns, paths, and neighboring areas into flower beds. Grass roots and creeping weeds move underground, slowly invading the garden even if the surface looks clean. Many gardeners also delay weeding because the garden still looks fine. Weeds in their early stages are small and easy to remove, but they grow quickly. Waiting too long often leads to hours of hard work later, which can feel overwhelming and discouraging. Finally, relying on occasional large cleanup sessions instead of regular maintenance is a mistake. Cottage gardens respond best to gentle, consistent care. Short, frequent check-ins help keep weeds under control without disrupting the overall look of the garden. Avoiding these common mistakes doesn't require perfection or constant effort. Small adjustments in timing and awareness can make a significant difference in keeping a cottage garden healthy and balanced. Managing weeds in a cottage garden doesn't mean removing its natural beauty. The goal is balance, not perfection. One of the most effective strategies is planting more intentionally. Filling gaps with low-growing plants, herbs, or ground covers reduces the amount of exposed soil and naturally limits weed growth. Mulching is another simple and proven method. A layer of organic mulch such as composted bark or straw helps block sunlight from reaching weed seeds. Mulch also improves soil health and retains moisture, benefiting your flowers at the same time. Choosing plants that naturally spread in a controlled way can also help. Some plants form dense clumps that compete with weeds for space, reducing the need for constant removal. These plants support the cottage garden style while providing practical benefits. Early observation is key. Spending a few minutes a couple of times a week looking closely at your garden allows you to spot weeds before they become a problem. Young weeds are easier to remove and cause less disturbance to surrounding plants. Lastly, allowing the garden to be slightly imperfect is important. A cottage garden isn't meant to look overly tidy. A few harmless plants in unexpected places are part of its charm. By focusing on overall plant health rather than total weed elimination, you'll create a garden that feels natural, manageable, and enjoyable. With these simple habits, a cottage garden can stay beautiful without becoming overwhelming, allowing you to enjoy the space rather than constantly maintaining it. A cottage garden doesn't have to become a constant battle with weeds. With a little planning, regular observation, and simple habits, you can keep that beautiful, relaxed look without feeling overwhelmed. The goal isn't perfection, it's balance. A healthy cottage garden should feel enjoyable, not stressful. If you focus on strong plant coverage, early action, and steady care, weeds naturally become less of a problem over time. If you found this video helpful and want more practical gardening advice like this, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Here, we share realistic tips that help you grow beautiful gardens in a way that fits real life. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.